So we find ourselves living in a time of great change and very quick and rapid evolution. Yet with this change and evolution, there's a potential for stress and overwhelm and a real lack of adaptability. So what we're going to do in this video is look at 4 simple things that we can all start doing right now to adapt more effectively and efficiently to all of this change, but also more so have control and influence over the kind of life that we live, and more so live the life that we choose, rather than just being always on stress or reactive mode based on all of the change and evolution that we're experiencing. So the first thing, and one of the most important things, is to develop a proper and effective system to organize and manage our lifestyle. So what does that mean, and how can we do that? What that means is a way of managing all of the massive amounts of inputs that we're constantly being given. Inputs in the form of all of the media, all of the information, all of the communication, all of the shoes and all of the hats which we're expected to wear over the course of just a simple day. And if we look at it in a historical sense and just look at the amount of information that we're subjected to every single day, that's more than generations past would get in a year or even more. So as a result, of course, that's going to influence our nervous system. Of course, it's going to influence our brain and our mind in some way. So for that reason, we need to develop a system to actually manage these things, to actually be able to adapt to these things, not just be reactive all the time. So a good book to get started on that is called Getting Things Done by David Allen. You can get that on Amazon, you can get it at really any bookstore, and it's really a great book to get started into that world and to start to apply and take action on some systems that can really facilitate better management, better organization of our lives. The second thing, and the second most important skill, is learning how to learn. Now, many of us have learned things in the course of our lives. Many of us have come to points in our lives where maybe we feel like we ought to stop learning, and that's oftentimes a very sad thing and a very sad time. And we've all probably been through school and some sort of schooling system, and oftentimes what's left out is actually learning the skill of how to learn. So there's a great quote which can sum that up by the author Alvin Toffler. He says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now this quote was written probably 30, 40, 50 years ago, but for whatever reason this man had vision and insight into the world, the amount of information and data that we'd all be experienced, or we'd all be subjected to in this day and age. And take it further, if we look at the retirement age, we look at the length of careers, we look at the average amount of careers that most people are having now, typically these things are very different than generations past, meaning people will oftentimes retire later, or even not retire at all, or retire from one career and then get another career. And along with that, if we look at all the information we're subjected to, that opens up opportunity to learn new things, because now we have the internet, we have access to a myriad of different resources, whether people or seminars or online courses or books or videos or podcasts or whatever it is. We can really be open to the ability to learn things that we never really had the opportunity to learn before. But again, if we don't have the skill to manage our lifestyle, to manage our information, then that's going to be hindered. If we don't have the actual skill to learn how to learn, then obviously our results and our outcomes are going to be diminished and really bottlenecked to a large degree. But if we can learn how to learn, understand the mechanics of learning, learn how we learn as our individual self, then whatever we choose to get into, whether that's a skill or a new career or a new hobby or whatever it is, we're going to be that much more effective. So a great book to get started on that would be The 4-Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. Another adjunct book to that would be The Art of Learning. Both of those books are easily and readily available at all book outlets, Amazon, whatever. So the third strategy is to practice holistic techniques for processing and releasing stress and tension. So with all of this inflow of information, all of these expectations that are put on us, it's really easy that we could feel stressful. It's really, a massively common thing that people are just stressed all the time. And that's one of the worst things for your health, whether that's mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual. So developing a strategy to deal with that stress and to effectively move it out of your nervous system. Now obviously having, number one, a good lifestyle system is going to be helpful. Number two, learning how to learn things is going to take some stress away. And then also, number three, having a system to physically, mentally, and emotionally release stress and tension. Because regardless of how we live our lives, odds are we're going to experience stress and tension in some fashion, and in some form, and in some way. So things that could help us learn to release the stress and tension, obviously meditation of all different forms, yoga, body work, massage of all different forms, Tai Chi and Qigong and all of these sorts of different modalities, even forms of dance, or really anything that really resonates with our physicality and allows us to become more anchored and rooted in our nervous system and in our bodies. And I listed all of those things for the obvious reason that we all have different bodies, we all have different tastes, we all have different likes and dislikes. So obviously we're going to need to find something that really works for us. And that's something that we have to figure out and find out for ourselves based on how we feel. So the fourth strategy, the fourth important pillar here, is to develop and practice more efficient and effective communication and relationship skills. Because with the more information that we're getting into, with the more or the increasing amounts of social roles that we're expected to play, all of those things typically involve dealing with other human beings. So if our relationship skills are poor, then obviously all of those things are probably going to be diminished as well. And if our communication skills are hindered, then our results are going to be hindered and bottlenecked. And fundamentally, if our relationship to ourself, if our communication with ourself is unclear or fuzzy or muddled or distorted in some way, then obviously what we're putting forth in relationships, what we're communicating to the external world, is likely going to reflect that. It is likely going to hinder all of the results that we're trying to manifest and trying to create in our lives. So in recap, number one, develop a proper and effective system for managing our lifestyle. Number two, learning how to learn. Number three, practicing holistic strategies to release and process stress and tension. And number four, practicing and developing more effective communication and relationship skills. Which again, number one, start with ourselves. Start with our relationship and our communication in our own mind. So these are just things which I've found personally helpful, which I've observed in other people and talked to people and done research and experimentation, and found that when people take action on these things and apply these things, oftentimes it has a pretty positive impact on the course of our life and really how we feel about life at large. So hopefully it's been helpful for you. Thank you for watching the video, and I will talk to you soon.